Hey, did you miss me on Saturday? I didn't put out a video, so let me know if you missed me on Saturday night or if it was a relief and you got to have a break for once. Hey everybody, by now everybody knows I'm Anthony from 4x4 Diesel, and the only way to get parts kits from me is with the text message Monday morning, ideally at 7:30. And everybody knows there's a BFE kit, and this has got an important new bit of information, as there has been, and it's not the thermostat. That was a new bit recently. Everyone knows the BFE kit's got a water pump. That's what all these boxes are. Everyone knows it's got a timing belt. That's what all these things are. Everybody knows it's got a tensioner. That's what all these things are. I've got heaps and heaps of these things. Everyone knows it's got an idler. That's what's in all these boxes. Everyone knows it's got a cam seal. I've got hundreds of them. Everyone knows it's got the main drive belt for a 150. Or a drive belt for a 120 Prado, 1KD FTV. Or a drive belt for a Hilux, and I've got plenty of those as well. Everyone knows it's got the big bearing for the bottom pulley. Beautiful. Everyone knows it's got these 4 little ones for the 2 top pulleys. Everyone already knows the new addition to the kit is the thermostat and the thermostat seal, and with good reason, all explained in other videos. I'm not going to go on about that too long. That's your traditional BFE kit, but there's more. A bit messy here at the moment, but the main thing I want to talk to you about is these bearings and what you should do with them and why and when they fail, and about some spares. Everybody loves videos about spares. Now, this is scrap metal. We get rid of this every now and then, but if anyone wants it, you're welcome to it. If you want a spare tensioner or idler, when the box is full, we'll get rid of it to the scrap metal. But what I want to talk to you about is these bearings and why we're replacing them, and some of the ones that have failed, and some of the ones that have failed even though they've been replaced. And what I do, I'm just always changing on the fly. As soon as we learn new information, we update everybody, which is why you want to be subscribed with the bell on and not miss this stuff. Okay, so these genuine idlers, I've never had an issue with, but I just don't see the point in running it for another 150,000 Ks at the risk of, if this bearing fails, that's your engine. You're in there doing the work. You're paying for all the other parts. Sometimes they get a bit rough and a bit dry. They might last 300,000 if you never go off-road. So you can do that if you want. That's something many years ago I'd go, I don't have an issue with that. And I sort of really don't, but I'd rather just do the whole job. Tensioners, we don't see them fail either, but when you reset them, if you don't do it right, you can get a bit of air in there, and you can see this one's full of garbage for how long over the years. We could look at more of them and make more examples, but I'm not here to sell you tensioners. It's all part of the kit. What I want you to do is hold on to your old bearings. So there's been some cases where, okay, so this is what happens. Firstly, this is the big one, right? This is the big one that goes on the bottom pulley, and we see quite a few of these that are rough. This one happens to be, gee, you won't even turn, but so they can get a bit tight, a bit dry and notchy, all this sort of thing. And they can fail, and I've heard of them failing, and that's on the tensioner, and you can't buy that pulley separately, and you kind of can't buy that bearing separately, just quietly, wink, wink. That was the story years ago. They can be hard to get, and that's why we include it in our BFE kit, because it's really important. A new tensioner, it's about $500-600 or something like that. So it depends which model and, you know, where you get it and availability. But if it happens to you on the side of the road, first thing you need to remember now is just a reminder for you that there's not a tow truck just sitting waiting for you all the time, and transport companies and spare drivers that just bring your vehicle to wherever, and mechanics waiting to get you back on the road. So you really need to have the preventive maintenance done to keep it reliable. And this is where you're in luck if you're on my videos and you've got a 1KD FTV, because that's what I've chosen to own and keep long term and keep it reliable. So my eyes and ears to the ground with everything online, offline, in the workshop partners, as to what's happening and solutions to any possible problem. Even though these are one of the most reliable with the least problems, anything that could be a possible problem, we're looking for to iron it out to make these cars last forever. So those bearings in there, the big one at the bottom, I want you to keep that old one for a spare. As bad as condition it might be in, keep it for a spare. If it's really bad, you might want to contact me for an extra one. And you can do that with the BFE kit if you want. You say, can I get an extra whatever bearings? You can do that if you want, but I'll suggest, we've got a whole heap of really good condition bearings in there, because the top pulley, if you didn't know, it's got 2 bearings in each pulley. So I've never seen one fail, but now I know I've sort of seen one fail. Now, there's always usually a reason why these things happen. Look, sometimes quality control on bearings, it could be that. Sometimes things change over time, different grease, different manufacturing processes, and maybe the bearings aren't as good as they used to be. That's always a possibility. But the biggest one is water, salt water, mud, dirt, dust, and all these debris pushing through bearings, washing grease out, and then there's no lubrication left. So now I have seen photos of people that have even replaced these bearings, so we know they're not old 400,000 K ones, that have actually been washed out by, you know, muddy salt water, maybe, you know, whatever bad messed up trips. And we just don't know 100% what the cause was. But what we know is the results are catastrophic, because if you're in the outback somewhere and you haven't got the parts and you haven't got a mechanic and you haven't got a workshop and you haven't got a tow truck and all the things you need, what you need is a few basic tools and a bit of know-how, a bit of experience from watching my channel, maybe some other channels around on YouTube, getting yourself educated so that you can change these bearings yourself. And if they do fail on you, you can change them, or at least if you can get to a workshop, here I've got the parts, we just need to press this out. You can make use of the pulley. So this is where your daily checks come in, really important. Each morning or night, looking, listening, your daily checks on the vehicle. Which we talked about in a video recently, daily checks, weekly checks, monthly checks, and we said a lot of things you don't have to check for weeks or months, but it's a daily check when you're on a trip, when you're in the outback, when you're in remote areas, when you're in heat, when you're in the dirt, dust, and all that. It's daily checks. Absolutely, you need to pop that bonnet and spend some time, have a quick or a long look around with your afternoon glass of Shiraz or whatever you're doing, right? We've learned what can happen when that pulley fails. It's going to damage your belt. So don't spew on me, but I was saying throw your old belt in the bin, and now I've changed my mind. These belts, they basically never fail. I've never even seen one cracked on the genuine ones. That's why, in my opinion, they are far superior quality. The EPDM rubber, made by Bando for Toyota, special formula, because they're different to the normal Bando ones. So just stick with genuine. It's in the BFE kit, right? Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. text message. These are the belts you want to stick with. But if you're going to travel, keep your old one. And the reason is, if you haven't worked out already, when if these bearings ever fail on you and they do collapse, you're going to need, hopefully you can reuse the pulley, I'd say. You're going to need bearings and you're going to need a belt. You're probably never going to need them. Talking about outback spares, belts and hoses are the traditional things people used to always carry, and generally it's a waste of time because, again, like I said, belts, they're not going to break. But if the pulley collapses, it could damage the belt, and you might be able to salvage enough of it to make it work. But if you've got that spare one there, it's relatively lightweight. It doesn't really take up much space. So wrap it up in a little small kit, your old belt, with your 4 or 5 bearings, even if you've got a couple spares. If you threw yours out and you want some spares, you know where to find some. I can throw some of these in. If you buy a BFE kit, well, you're going to have your spares, so you don't need them. But if you already brought a BFE kit, you're in the VIP group or something like that, where all the awesome clients are. If you're with the other thousands of people that do join the VIP group, even more don't join. There's a lot more people that don't join. They're not on Facebook. They're missing out on being around that information and all the best people really on the planet, to be quite honest. But if you're in there and you're going to get an injector kit, I can wrap a couple of these up and throw them in with your injector kit so you've got some spares. It's probably not going to happen, but for the size and the weight of these little bearings and the drive belts, let's carry spares on outback remote trips, because if it does happen, you want to have a plan B. And it's something that I'd never thought of, and I decided I'm going to carry spares. I'm going to carry new spares because I've got them in stock, right? But, you know, there's no point everyone paying money to own stuff that you're never going to use. There's nothing wrong with at least 2 of your old ones. Like I said, there's 2 in there. The back one's usually okay. The front one's usually the average one. If you want some, I'll pick them up. I'll give them a spin. I'll send you a couple with your injector kit. You might need front wheel bearing assemblies. On the shelf here. If you're coming for front wheel bearing assemblies, it comes with that inner seal, of course, all pre-assembled, ready to go. We've got all that stuff as well. If you're going to be grabbing those, I can put in the bearings in there. So any other of those parts kits you get from me, I can include it so that you've got your spares in place. And as Mitch used to say, what was it? Chicken in place, egg on face. What was that on? Some chicken run or something? I don't know. I don't watch it. It's all a bit weird, but sounds weird. Chicken in place, egg on face. Anyway, check it out. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, because I don't even really know what I'm talking about. Just sounded funny when he said chicken in place, egg on face. I think that's what it was. Is that what it was? Anyway, subscribe, turn the bell on. There's your info. Bada bing, bada boom. Catch you on the next one if you subscribe with the bell on, and I'll be looking forward to reading the comments. So did you miss me on Saturday night when I didn't put a video out? Because I haven't missed one for a long time. Or were you going, that's a relief, I can just do something else? Look forward to it. Catch you on the next one.